Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Bite of Whiskey, and today we're going to talk about Pioneer and why I have concerns about Tencent investing in them. Now, to start things off, we're going to have to go over to the history of Tencent, why that kind of concerns me, etc., etc. Tencent is the largest publisher in video games if you consider them a publisher. They're a huge investor. Why I'm concerned with GFA Games on that is investors have a lot of sway and pull on developers, so they can in fact sway decisions that GFA Games will make.
Oh shit, here we go again.
While Tencent has a huge portfolio, about 150 different companies they've invested in, they've also had a history of not being the benevolent good guys when rising to the top.
I'm fucking evil!
Those companies that they've invested in include Ubisoft, Riot Games, EA, Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard was recently bought by Microsoft, therefore they've got ties to Microsoft as well. They've got tendrils in everything, and that's a concern when one company is invested in everything, especially with a history like Tencent has, who has literally made their own properties, PUBG and Fortnite, compete against each other. In regards to PUBG, they owned all of it. With Fortnite, they have a 40% stake. They've literally made the mobile apps compete against each other in the past. Tencent has been investigated for its security standards in the past. Now, this has predominantly been the US doing it, previous administration.
China.
That is something to keep in mind. That is something to be a little bit concerned about. Why? Other than, you know, politics, why would anybody investigate a company as far as security standards go? Well, that unfortunately goes into geopolitical territory because China has standards and requirements for companies over there to meet in regards to reporting data, actually handing data over to the Chinese government.
Judge, anything else? Dora's green card expired 3 years ago.
Now, Tencent has a kind of wish-wash relationship with China with this. They've actually been hit with the max fine allowable in China for only doing the bare minimum, but they still do report data to the Chinese government. That includes with not just video games, but their apps. And that's what the US government was actually looking into, and that privacy, right, that you as a consumer out here in the West have is a concern in regards to them investing. They may pressure to have data reported, financial data, habit data. Maybe they use some kind of cheat engine like Valorant that gets down to the kernel and they start viewing your browsing habits.
Jeff, when you get to Earth, do me this one last solid.
Anything, Sinbad?
Clear my internet browser history.
It's as somebody in IT, I don't like anybody having too much power, right? Too much intrusion into my data system. You can also roll that into the fact that Tencent has cheated on antivirus software that they created. How they did this was they literally whitelisted the antivirus testing program in their antivirus software, allowing it to pass right through, and then they got caught. These are definite problems for me. It's big damn concerns. I'm gonna be perfectly fucking honest with you. When you have a history of being investigated for, the good thing is doing the bare minimum over in China. The bad thing is literally cheating on antivirus software. You don't really have the best interests of your consumers in mind. They're not concerned with keeping consumers happy. They're more concerned with making money. Yes, I get it. That's literally what a business is supposed to do. I fucking understand that. However, how you're supposed to grow, how you're supposed to actually prosper is by doing or providing a product that people want and enjoy. And a shitty antivirus software and being investigated for security breaches is not anything any of us are going to enjoy. I would think it's not something I'm going to enjoy. So that is one concern of mine as far as Tencent goes. Another one is Tencent has a long history, a long storied history of copying games, mobile games, their own games, other companies' games. They've done it all in regards to this. They have actually had legal actions done at least in 2 separate occasions in regards to plagiarism. Their founder, Ma Huateng, is called the king of plagiarism, and he's been quoted as saying to copy is not evil. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but he doesn't see a problem with just stealing other people's property, intellectual property. That's not off limits to him. China also has an overall problem with IP stealing and copyright infringement. Tencent isn't any better in regards to that. So that's another thing. How that ties into Pioneer. There are other games in the space that Pioneer is trying to get into. You have Tarkov.
NANI?
You have S.t.a.l.k.e.r. You have Metro. They theoretically could straight up steal mechanics or even the gameplay loop of some of these games to implement in Pioneer. You know, Tarkov isn't for everybody, but for those that like it, you implementing some kind of raid system in Pioneer may not be a bad thing. But that decision is split in the S.t.a.l.k.e.r community, where Pioneer is actually trying to get into. Some people don't mind Tarkov for what it is, but there is a lot. If you check the Reddit, there is a lot of people who don't like the raid system. There are Tarkov players that want to go to S.t.a.l.k.e.r for an offline S.t.a.l.k.e.r, or they can't play Tarkov and will mod it to where you don't have mutants, you don't have anomalies, it's just persistent offline Tarkov. That's not what we want out of Pioneer. That's not what GFA wants to make. And again, that goes back to the concern of Tencent investing. Will they pressure GFA to implement some of those mechanics? It's not a big concern. I have a feeling Tencent is literally just trying to make money off of this game. They see some potential here and they're investing to try and help them out to get a return. How much of a return? I don't know. We're not privy to that information, but this is basically speculation on what could be a problem with Tencent investing into GFA games. So in regards to them copying games, they literally copied one game that they own, League of Legends, with a mobile game, Kings of Glory. It's their own game. No one's gonna sue them. There's no party to sue. They did what they did. It is what it is. What the fuck? But they have sued people for plagiarism. 2020 saw them win a legal action against a game called Crisis Action, which they argued was a copy of Crisis Fire, which is argued to be a copy of Counter-Strike. So I mean, the double standards are everywhere. If it weren't for double standards, Tencent would have no fucking standards at all. That's a concern. So that brings back the potential for them to copy from other games, and the fact that Tencent doesn't have any fucking standards in what they're going to sue, who they're going to sue, why they're going to sue, etc., etc. Another thing to keep in mind, while everyone remembers the great debacle surrounding horse armor with microtransactions, Tencent was pioneering it, and they were pioneering it not in video games, but in a chat app called QQ, whatever. Why that is a problem should be self-explanatory, but I'll go ahead and say it. The concern absolutely is that they'll bring microtransactions and thus pay to win, because they've done that in the past with Crisis Action. By the way, Crossfire, not Crisis Action, Crossfire. With Crossfire, they actually made it, basically, it's called a pay-to-win clone of Counter-Strike, right? What's to stop them from pressuring GFA to gain more profit from their investment, to put microtransactions in this, and on top of that, to make it pay to win? GFA has bought some goodwill with me in regards to the open beta, right? Because they do realize that the people are going to be paying to play this game, so having an open beta for people to test first, kind of like a demo, that's just goodwill for me. That's making a consumer centric decision, which I'm all for. Let's do that. But there's still Tencent investing. We don't know how much. It's a minority stake, but if it's enough of a minority stake, you could have them pressuring in with microtransactions. Tencent has a history of doing that. Rolling back into the financial aspect, tying it in a little more, last year, Tencent lost 170 billion. That's with a B.
Billions with a B.
That's a lot of fucking money, right? Now, it may be a drop in the bucket to Tencent, I don't know, but it still seems like a hell of a lot of money to me. And if that is a lot of money to Tencent, then that could incentivize them to, 1, sell more copies of this game as fast as possible. 2, implement microtransactions in the game. 3, implement pay to win, because there are whales in any game ever that has microtransactions and you can buy an advantage. People will, especially whales, but I'm not gonna shame them. You got the disposable income, you do what you do, it is what it is, but it does hurt the experience of those that do not pay to win. And if Tencent is having issues financially and they put pressure on GFA to implement this, that's going to kill the game before it even gets its legs under itself. Now, another thing, this may or may not break it for you. It doesn't for me. I consider this battle lost. The great PC launcher battle is over as far as I'm concerned. This is probably going to be an Epic's game exclusive. Hear me out. 1, Unreal Engine is owned by Epic Games. 2, Tencent has invested in this company and has a 40% stake in Epic. This is a small dev company, and the cut that Epic takes versus the cut that Steam takes is drastically smaller. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on my Nostradamus hat and say that this one's gonna be on Epic Games. It just kind of makes sense. Metro first came out on Epic Games too. Just expect it to be there. That's all I'm saying with that. Opinions. I'm willing to actually put money on it that this is gonna be an Epic's game exclusive, at least a timed exclusive. I don't trust Tencent. Tencent are not the good guys. They don't have a history of being the good guys. Gamers like us, we're all gamers here if you're watching this, have been at some point screwed over by a publisher or game dev in the past. So due diligence, right? Make sure you look into what's going on. Pioneer and GFA have gone pretty much radio silent, so we don't have a whole lot of news other than last month's interview video I put out on that. You can check that out if you want. These are just some of my concerns ultimately that I have with Tencent being involved at all. If you have any other concerns, or maybe you have some reasons this is going to be a good thing, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful day.